Welcome to AI Unplugged, your deep dive into the world of artificial intelligence. AI is evolving at breakneck speed, and today we're diving into one of its most mind-blowing abilities yet. OpenAI's GPT-4 native image generation. No third-party tools, no detours. Just pure, seamless, AI-powered creativity right out of the box.
Man, the speed at which AI is developing is kind of mind-blowing, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
just when you think you've wrapped your head around the latest advancements, bam, something totally new pops up that changes the whole game.
Yeah, it's relentless, isn't it?
Totally. And today, that's exactly what we're diving into. OpenAI's brand new ability to generate images natively within GPT-4 for ChatGPT users.
Right on. And this isn't some far-off futuristic concept.
Hmm.
If you're using ChatGPT right now, whether it's Plus, Pro, Team, or even the free version, you've got this image generation power at your fingertips.
That's right, and it's going to be even more widely available soon, with enterprise, education, and API access coming down the pipeline.
Exactly. It's going mainstream.
And the early buzz is pretty wild. I saw someone who's been deep in the AI art scene for years called the image quality insane.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've seen is really impressive.
So, our mission today is to break down what this new feature really means for you. We'll look at how it works, what it can create, how it stacks up against previous models like DALL-E 3, and yeah, even where it might still have some limitations.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
So first things first, can we talk about how this image generation actually works? It seems pretty different from DALL-E 3, which was a separate diffusion model, right?
You're right, it is. DALL-E 3, think of it as a dedicated artist, a painter who starts with a blank canvas and gradually adds details. It takes this random noise and, based on your text, slowly denoises it until a coherent image emerges.
Right, it's that whole diffusion process.
Right.
Okay, so how does GPT-4o differ?
Well, GPT-4o's image generation isn't separate at all. It's built directly into the heart of the model, the Omni model, or what they call a multimodal model.
So not just text-focused with an image generator sort of tacked on as an afterthought.
Exactly. GPT-4o was designed from the ground up to understand and process text, code, A&D images all within a single unified architecture.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is. Because it's not just two separate models stitched together, GPT-4o can grasp the semantic relationship between the words you give it and the image it creates. It understands the why behind your visual request, not just the what, if that makes sense.
It does. It's like it's actually understanding the meaning and not just the words.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, this actually reminds me of something we saw back in May 2024. Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president, gave us a sneak peek of this capability back then. So they've been working on this for a while, but it's only just now being released.
Right. It's interesting timing for sure.
It does make you wonder why the delay, especially since Google AI Studio came out with something similar with their Gemini 2 Flash experimental model fairly recently.
Yeah, the timing does raise some questions. Maybe OpenAI was waiting to see how this multimodal approach worked in other areas before releasing the image generation part.
Maybe.
Or perhaps they were laser focused on ensuring the quality and reliability of the image generation before letting the public use it.
Could be, but it's definitely been a carefully considered rollout.
For sure.
Well, based on those early user reactions we talked about, that extra development time might have been worth it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
OpenAI has laid out some pretty ambitious goals for what they want GPT-4's image generation to achieve.
Right. They're aiming high.
One thing they're emphasizing is the ability to accurately render text within images, like actual legible text on signs, menus, invitations, even complex infographics.
That's a huge step forward. Older AI image generators often had a real tough time with text.
Yeah, they'd spit out gibberish or blurry messes.
Exactly. Being able to generate clear text opens up a whole new world of uses, particularly for things like marketing or educational content.
I can see that.
Think about creating a flyer for an event or a diagram for a science lesson.
Absolutely. Another big one they highlighted was the ability to follow intricate prompts with precision. It's not just about capturing a general visual. It's about maintaining detail even in really complex compositions.
And that speaks to the level of control users now have. You can describe a scene with lots of specific elements, and GPT-4o can actually capture all those nuances.
It's like it's listening really carefully to your instructions.
It is. You can essentially build a detailed visual story with this. A sequence of images based on prompts, each one in a consistent style and accurately reflecting what you described.
That's cool. And they've also talked about building upon previous images and text, like GPT-4o can ensure visual consistency across multiple interactions, so you can refine an idea and keep a cohesive look throughout your conversation with ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's like having a visual back and forth. You could generate a base image and then ask ChatGPT to tweak certain parts of it, and you can be confident that the overall style and key elements will stay consistent with your original vision.
So it's not just about creating one-off images, it's about a visual dialogue.
Precisely. And that kind of iterative process could be a real game changer for creative workflows.
It could be. And on top of all that, it sounds like GPT-4o is quite the artist. They're claiming it can handle a huge variety of artistic styles, from hyper-realistic images that look like photos to more stylized and unique illustrations.
Yeah, the style flexibility is impressive.
Whether you need something that looks real or something more abstract and artistic, it seems like GPT-4o can handle it.
Right.
So let's say someone is listening and they want to try this out. What's the process actually like?
That sounds pretty straightforward, actually. You just describe what you have in mind, right there in the ChatGPT interface. You can get specific too, like setting the aspect ratio of the image, choosing color schemes. They even mention being able to use hex codes for really precise color control.
Wow, that's getting granular.
And you can even play with transparency. All of this in under a minute, which is pretty quick for this kind of tech.
Yeah, that speed is key. It's got to keep up with the creative flow. And it's not just OpenAI hyping this up, right? We saw that quote from Allie K. Miller, an independent AI consultant over on X. She called it a huge leap in text generation and even said it's the best AI image generation model she's seen.
And she's someone who's deep in the AI world, so her opinion carries a lot of weight.
Totally. It seems like these aren't just small improvements, but a real step change in what AI can do with image generation.
I think that's a fair assessment.
So let's imagine some real-world uses for this. Design and branding immediately come to mind. Things like creating logos, posters, advertisements where you need precise text and visuals.
Absolutely. The potential time savings and increased creative flexibility for marketing teams is huge. They can quickly prototype different ideas and generate assets tailored for different campaigns and audiences.
And then there's education and visualization. Think about being able to create on-demand scientific diagrams, generate historical imagery for context, or produce engaging infographics to explain tough concepts.
And let's not forget about the potential for personalized learning materials. Imagine a student struggling with a concept. They could just generate a visual representation of it right there in their learning platform.
Yeah, that could be a game changer for how students learn. What about game development? Maintaining consistency in character design across different versions can be a real challenge, and it seems like GPT-4o could be a big help there.
For sure. It can help ensure all those little details stay consistent across different iterations of a character. And for independent developers or smaller studios, this kind of tech could really lower the bar for creating visually rich games.
Right. And of course, marketing and content creation in general. Generating social media assets, creating unique event invitations, producing digital illustrations. The possibilities are pretty vast.
It is. At a broader level, we're talking about making sophisticated image creation tools accessible to a much wider range of people, regardless of their technical skills or access to fancy design software.
Exactly. It's democratizing visual creation.
I like that.
OpenAI has been pretty upfront about how GPT-4o is a step up from DALL-E. One of the big ones seems to be that improved text integration we talked about. They're saying GPT-4o can now embed words into images accurately, which was a real struggle for past AI models.
It was. That difficulty with text really limited the usability of earlier models for anything that needed clear text to be present.
They also mentioned enhanced contextual understanding. Because GPT-4o is now right there in the chat interface, it can use your whole conversation history to refine images and keep things coherent across multiple generations. It's not just generating a single image, it's part of a bigger visual conversation.
And that ability to keep the context is essential for iterative design. You can build on what you've already created, make small tweaks, and know that the overall direction and those key elements will stay consistent.
Another big improvement is what they're calling improved multi-object binding. It sounds like older models often had trouble correctly placing and relating multiple objects within a scene.
Right. They'd struggle with the relationships between objects in a scene.
But GPT-4o can handle something like 10 to 20 objects at once, which is a pretty big jump in complexity.
It is. Think about creating a detailed scene like a bustling marketplace or a crowded concert. Being able to accurately place and interact multiple objects makes the resulting image way richer and more realistic.
And finally, they talked about versatile style adaptation. It can generate or transform images into a wide range of styles, from rough sketches to super high-resolution photorealism. That gives users a ton of creative control over the final look.
And that range is essential for different applications. You might need a photorealistic image for a marketing campaign, but a more stylized illustration for a children's book, for instance. Having that flexibility in one model is incredibly powerful.
It is. Now, it's important to be realistic. As exciting as all this is, OpenAI has acknowledged some limitations. They've mentioned potential cropping issues with very large images like posters.
Yeah, it seems like it might be optimized for more standard sizes.
Right. And they've said there might still be some inaccuracies with non-Latin script text. So if you're trying to create images with text in languages like Chinese or Arabic, there might be issues with the legibility or accuracy of the characters.
That speaks to the ongoing challenge of training these models to handle the nuances of different writing systems.
It's a reminder that while the progress is fast, there are still linguistic hurdles to overcome.
Definitely.
Even with Latin script, they mention that text with a lot of detail or a very small font size might lose clarity.
That probably comes down to resolution limits or how the model handles those fine details.
It's a trade-off between complexity and clarity, I guess.
It often is with these kinds of things.
They also said that really precise editing can be a bit tricky. If you try to change a small part of an image, it might unintentionally affect other parts.
Right, that fine-grained control is still a work in progress. It's a challenge to make those isolated edits without having a ripple effect on the rest of the composition.
It makes sense. But the good news is that OpenAI is working on these things. It's an ongoing process of development and improvement.
That's encouraging.
Given how powerful this tech is, it's also good to see that OpenAI has implemented some safeguards.
Definitely, responsible development is crucial.
All images made by GPT-4o will have C2PA metadata. It's like a digital watermark or signature embedded in the image file, so you can verify that it was made by AI.
It's a good step toward transparency and accountability. It'll get harder to tell the difference between real and AI-generated content, so that metadata is important.
And they've also developed a search tool to detect AI-generated images. Sounds like they're taking a proactive approach to monitoring how their models are being used.
That's a smart move. It could help them spot any misuse and understand the trends and patterns that emerge from how people are using it.
Right. They also have strict rules against generating harmful content, like explicit, deceptive, or harmful imagery.
That's absolutely crucial. These safety measures are vital to prevent this technology from being used for harmful or unethical purposes.
They've also got tighter restrictions on generating images that feature real people.
A necessary precaution, given the potential for misuse, like creating deepfakes or misrepresenting individuals.
It shows they're thinking carefully about the potential risks.
It does.
I also thought it was interesting to hear what Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, had to say about this. He called this release a new high watermark for creative freedom.
It's a bold statement.
It is, but it shows how much faith they have in the creative potential this unlocks. He also said they'll be watching how people use the tool in the real world and adapt based on that.
That's a key part of responsible AI development. Learning from real-world usage helps them spot unforeseen issues, understand evolving user needs, and continue to improve the model.
It's an iterative process. So when we look at everything, the increased precision, the seamless integration into ChatGPT, the ongoing development, it really does feel like GPT-4o is a major step forward for AI image generation.
I agree. The ability to create high-quality images from text, right, within a platform as widely used as ChatGPT is going to open up a ton of new possibilities for a lot of people.
So for you listening, think about how this might change things for you. How could this intersect with the work you do, your own creative projects, or even just your curiosity about how technology is changing the world?
It raises a big question for all of us. With the ability to create such detailed and contextually relevant images from text, how might this fundamentally change the way we communicate and visualize ideas in the future? It's something worth pondering, the potential for creativity, and how it might change how we share and understand visual information.
Absolutely. It's a really exciting time to be watching this field evolve.
It is, and who knows what's coming next.
That's the fun part. Always something new just around the corner.
Always.